What is up, y'all? It is your host, Rennie, and you're listening to another episode of the Call Me Crazy podcast. Oh my goodness, it has been quite some time since my last solo episode. The last solo episode was uploaded in November. It is now January 2023, y'all. Holy shit. I wasn't ready for it, okay? No, in all seriousness, I feel like I am ready for it. I do love the new year for the transitional period that it brings. A similar feeling comes during the springtime, you know, that spring cleaning energy. My dog is licking himself, which I'm sure you can hear, but yeah, I do love a transitional period from season to season, from year to year, from month to month even. You can find renewal periods within those moments to really capitalize on. And although there is some toxic mind framing or framing of the new year, like there is anything, right? There's a toxic lens on self-help. There's a toxic lens on self-love. There's a toxic lens on pretty much anything you can imagine. So yes, there's a side of the new year, new me, like the new year, new me. I don't think I'm on that side of the spectrum. I usually fall into the gray. I'm never really black or white on any type of situation or scenario. So I feel like I land in the middle where I, like I said, appreciate the transitional period, and I just do what makes me feel good for that time. So I personally do like to set intentions and goals. Although if there's something I want to change within myself in February, I'm going to change it then. If there's something I want to change all the way in August, I'm going to change it then, right? I don't wait for anything, but I do take this time to recap, revel, relax some. I've been trying to relax some. And revitalize is another R word, okay? So I saw a post from my homegirls, the Black Girl Bravado, and they posted this on their Instagram page as well as spoke about it in their New Year episode. So it's 7 questions to ask yourself before 2022 ends. Obviously, 2022 has already ended, but we're doing this anyways. So bear with me. First question is, what was your highest moment of the year and why? I still can't believe I booked a solo trip to Senegal in West Africa. I still can't believe I traveled internationally alone. Not to sound cheesy, but the entire experience was all that I needed and more. Traveling usually makes my corner of the world feel small, but seeing the motherland amplifies that by thousands. I walked away from that trip with forever friends, business connections, views like I've never seen before, experiences that'll be imprinted on me, energy that was undeniable, and memories that'll last a lifetime. I went back and forth about doing a whole entire podcast episode about my going back home experience, right? Going back to the motherland, feeling that soil underneath my feet for the first time, immersing myself in the energy that is with our ancestors who have passed. And I still might make that one day. I still might do that one day. But for now, I definitely want to take the time to realize what a triumphant moment that was for me, right? I'm 23 years old. At the time I was freshly 23 years old, coming right off the heels of 22, okay? It was my birthday present to myself, and for many reasons, that trip symbolized a lot for me. Right off the bat, materialistically, that financial comfort, that financial gain, the savings that I put away in order to go on that trip were immense. And I'm not afraid to share the numbers because I think it's very doable for anyone who really puts their mind to it. So the trip, all in all, I want to say was about $5,000, give or take, more or less. The package with my travel group, shout out to Jet Black Travel, shout out to Alex, who is the owner of Jet Black Travel, who is now a dear friend. Shout out to Teddy and Seram, who are big parts of Jet Black Travel and the visualization of Jet Black Travel. And are also two people I hold near and dear to my heart. So that package was around $3,500. And if you break down $3,500 by, I want to say I paid it off in 8 to 10 months. I don't think I had a full year of a payment plan. So let's just divide that by 10. If you paid off $3,500 in 10 months, that would be $350 a month to put aside. My airfare was about $1,500. And I'd say, honestly, maybe add another $1,000 on that for spending money that I just wanted to keep just in case of emergency, and also for novelties and things that I wanted to bring back with me. So let's say all in all, it was a $6,000 trip to Africa. Divide that by, again, let's just do 10 months. And that means you're putting away about $600 to comfortably, like when I say comfortably, we are at a 5-star resort in Dakar. We had so many amazing experiences, some excursions that I even stepped out on just because I wasn't feeling too good or up to it that day. Food, drink, most of our, I want to say almost all of our meals were included. There was a couple meals that I did pay for. There was a couple times I did splurge for alcohol. And then again, you know, anything you wanted to buy while you were there. So I got some art pieces, some jewelry, some novelties. But I will say I didn't pack the way I would pack now going to Africa. So there wasn't really much room in my suitcase to begin with. So all in all, like that just was the financial aspect of that, just the pride that I have in being able to give myself that experience at the very young age of 23 is incredible. And I constantly pat myself on the back for that trip because it's something that I haven't forgotten anything, right? Like I talk to the people that I went with almost on a daily basis. If I'm not talking to Val, if I'm not talking to Katie, if I'm not talking to Naeem, if I'm not talking to Dabo, if I'm not talking to Teddy, Seyram, Alex, if I'm not talking to our Senegal group chat, like I'm talking to someone during the week from my Africa trip. So forever friends, like I said, you know, memories that'll last a lifetime. I mean, the dance circles, just the first night we took a boat to an island to eat dinner. Like that is so special. And some people will go their whole lives without experiencing that. So I just really want to take a moment and be so eternally grateful for that trip, the people I met, you know, the people I still love and talk to. It's just, I could go on and on about that trip. You know what I'm saying? Erykah Badu. Feeling fine. Oh, what a day. What a day. What a day. Yeah, on and on. Okay. Next question. What was your lowest moment of the year and why? I'm grateful to say that there wasn't one moment last year that could be categorized as the lowest. If you'd asked me the same question in 2021, I'd have a list as long as Santa's, pinpointing all too many lows that happened throughout those 12 months. If I can muster up the memory of particularly low moments in 2022, there are a bunch of minor inconveniences that with proper preparation could have been easily avoided. There was many moments where I laid in bed not knowing if I was still on the path to greatness, and if I was it still right for me? If I wasn't, what was I even doing with my days? Self-doubt, imposter syndrome, and just being a human trips you up sometimes. But as I always say, I'm blessed to be stressed. All of my stress comes from problems that are, in due time, solvable. Anything beyond that can be attributed to my perfectionist and productivity-driven mindset playing tricks on me. I'm thankful for this truth. There has been a lot of moments in 22 that has tried me. I'm not gonna lie when I say I have felt tried. Like, why you trying me? Like, there has been clients, friends, family members who just seem to want to just get under my skin. But the reality of that is all can be solvable. And those inconveniences could have been prevented. And with proper preparation, as I said, they could have been. So, you know, shoulda, coulda, woulda. I don't like to live there, but I do like to give myself grace for the fact that what I know now wasn't what I knew then. And without the knowledge, without the prior, without the knowledge, without the prior preparation, without someone giving me some kind of blueprint, I just had to face that head on so I could figure it out. And so I could move differently from here on out. So, like I said, I'm thankful for this truth. The third question: what has been hard to admit to yourself? That I am the source for most of what's wrong in my life. And even if it's not technically my fault, the only person willing and able to get me out of that specific circumstance is me. When you become a business owner, you realize it's always your responsibility. There's no one to blame but yourself for either not knowing or doing something despite the obvious. Life is similar in that way. If you don't leave it all out on the table, people start to assume. So you might as well be as transparent as possible so everyone's expectations are as close to the reality as they can be. So like I said, in business, this kind of ties into that second question too. It's your responsibility. And whether or not you're right or wrong, it's gonna fall on your shoulders. Let's take my living environment, for example. The circumstances in which I live are not necessarily my fault, right? I grew up without a silver spoon. I grew up with almost everything we needed, right? At any given time, I almost always had what I needed. Sometimes that meant that we were boiling water. Sometimes that meant we were in Juicy Couture sweatsuits eating Spam and cabbage. Sometimes that meant driving around in a hoopty, but showing up to a 5-star Michelin rated restaurant, right? So that's not my fault, right? What the foundation that lays under me is mostly of which I try to use my words very carefully. I try to pick and choose, and sometimes it takes me a minute in order to decipher my truth within other people's truths, right? Because within my truth is my mother's truth. And I never want to blame her or act like she is the source for all in which is lacking in my life, right? It takes two to tango. So it took my father and my mother to have me in order for me to be here, right? It took my mother being a single mom, struggling doing so, and my father not being a part of my life for almost 15 to 20 years of my life, hardly paying child support for us to all get here. So it's obviously a collaborative effort. No one tries to quote unquote fuck up a kid alone, right? And I don't feel fucked up. But all that to say, right, my living situation, it is not technically my fault. Where I am right now financially and what I can provide myself and my dogs in terms of a living environment, in terms of where we lay our head, was predetermined upon what I had dealt with in my early working years of life. Many kids don't start working before age 20. Even less amount of kids start working before age 15. And I say that not trying to be naive, but I'm speaking to the experience that I have come to know in the area in which I live, right? I live in Connecticut, predominantly white county. The county that I live in is predominantly white. So a lot of kids didn't get their first job until they graduated college, right? That's a lot of the stories I'm hearing as I'm out in the workforce. So again, living with my mom currently in a 2-bedroom apartment with a crazy ass Polish landlord. And that's not really my fault. But like I said, the only person willing and able to get me out of that specific circumstance is me. We have been here for over 2 years now, maybe even longer than that. I'm a horrible judge of time. In those 2 years, my mother has been seemingly fine with what has gone on this property, how we have been treated, and where we live and what it looks like, right? She is not itching to get out the way I am. Now, I'm not saying that my mom doesn't think this man is batshit crazy, because the neighbors downstairs know it. I know it. My mother knows it. Bo and Sasha know it. The dogs downstairs know it, right? Lucky and Pinky know it. So it's not like I'm living in this alternate universe, but the only person who wants to get out as bad as me is me. And the only person who's going to get me out is me. So that's what I mean. And like, life is similar in that way, right? So let's take my dating life for an example. It's on me, right? Like, it is on me to put forth the effort to date. I may want a partner, but it's on me to go find one, to canvas for one, to let people know that I'm even searching for one in the first place. I don't take much time to do so, so I cannot be mad in the lack thereof, right? It's not something I have put priority on at all. So it's all up to me. It's all up to you. When it comes to your life, it's just really all up to you. If you want something to change, you are the eye of the beholder. You are the one who can make that change. And none of it is an overnight thing. It's just being diligent enough and wanting it enough to take the necessary steps it takes to get there. So, you know, at some point, I'll end up wanting to put my time towards dating. But right now, that is not the case. Fourth question. What is something you did for the first time this year? I sold something tangible. RH Collective had 2 successful collaborations this year, which was not something I could foresee back in 2021. The planning for the Hainsey x RH Collective Give Yourself Grace comfort clothing line collab started in March, and we launched in April. We sold out of t-shirts in August, hoodies in October, and finally joggers in December. All whilst that was still going on, Mandy of Anita & Co. and I got started on our jewelry collection in July. We spent week after week, cafe after cafe during that summer, thinking of how we could make this into something to be proud of. Once we solidified the name, it felt like everything else fell into place. Mahal kita, which means I love you in Filipino. Our first campaign shoot was on August 13th at a location that would make you feel like you're in Italy when in actuality you were in Yonkers, New York. After coming home from wearing the collection all around Senegal, our final campaign shoot took place on September 15th with 7 drop-dead gorgeous models, including Mandy and I, 2 photographers, also me being one of them, plus a styling and makeup team. We launched on September 30th and just sold out of all 124 pieces before the new year. I have helped peddle and push products for my clients for what seems like eons. You know, I've held companies on my back like they were my own. I have an array of past clients from restaurants to fashion to gyms to anything you can think of. I've helped in the social media presence and process for all of those brands. And through that, I created a yearning for wanting to do it for myself. And I didn't know how and where to start until I started seeing collaborations. Collaborations where someone took someone's persona, personality, and visualization of something and created it into something that could be shared. So for Hainsey, they've already got the comfort clothing sector down packed. They had an amazing product to begin with. Their mission of mental health awareness was something that I aligned with. And through that, we created Give Yourself Grace together, something that wouldn't have happened with just Hainsey alone and wouldn't have happened with just RH Collective alone. The same thing goes for my Anita & Co. creation, our collection, our jewelry line. I would have never thought in a million years that in the year of 2022, I'd come out with my own jewelry collection, but I did. Mandy and I sat down and we created all of the different designs, all of the different earrings. We canvassed for the perfect pendant for the Sola necklace. We named all of the pieces. I named all of the pieces after the women in my family. We did it all, and it was such a great learning experience. You know, as pretty as it looked on the outside, it wasn't easy. Getting people to buy a product isn't easy. And when all of the expectations fall on your shoulders, it's harder than when it is something that you're doing for a client of yours. It hurts harder, and it also feels better when you finally come to the end of that project and all is said and done. So I'm very grateful for those experiences. They will help me trailblaze through the rest of the projects that I want to create and execute in 2023. So thank you to all those involved. Question number 5. What is different about you from this time last year? Well, for one, my hair has grown a lot. It's funny when you have something on your body to constantly indicate time. As an adult, you don't grow any taller, lose or gain any teeth. For the most part, you just stay the same physically. And I take that with a grain of salt. Obviously, with all that has happened, there can be weight fluctuations. There can be things that have changed in you physically. But for the most part, you're not like a child where your 2 front teeth are missing and that kind of, you know, solidifies a certain age, and while your adult teeth grow back, like you don't have any of those markers, right? I got on FaceTime with my little sister yesterday, January 4th. It was her birthday. And she looked at me and I looked at her, and at the same time we said, we had the same hair. We had the same slicked back poof moment happening. And it's funny because our hair is pretty much the same length. Obviously, in retrospect to her size, it's different, but our hair is pretty much the same length because she's a baby who's growing and I just shaved my head a year ago. So it was really cute. Right after we said we have the same hair, she screamed, "Because we are sisters!" And she has a little French accent. That's why I said it that way. But it was so cute. So yeah, I mean, the hair has shown me a lot of the growth that I've had within myself. The growing out process has felt long and grueling, but continues to be the source of a lot of confidence that I gained throughout this year, which plays into an ongoing trend in my life, turning my pain into power. I lost all sense of femininity when letting go of my hair, which took away a lot of self-worth and then attacked my already weakened confidence. Building that back up as a new version of myself almost weekly, the hair was changing. It's created an almost indestructible level of self-esteem that I hope doesn't come off as cockiness or being vain, but I've truly found my value and my worth, and I know that it's not something to be played with, you know? Question 6. What is something you learned about yourself this year? I'm quite all right, just me and the dogs. I stopped imagining my life with a significant other by my side and started laying the foundation of what my life might look like if I had only what I have now, which is the dogs and I. I made myself think of a future without a husband in 2 years, 5 years, shit, maybe even 10. I hope not, but you know, you never know. After that, I started taking steps to live out that dream life in real time, working, traveling and working. Then I set myself up with habits that align with that new version I saw for myself. For example, if I want to own my own house before meeting Mr. Right, what do I need to do for the foreseeable future to get me and only me and the dogs there? The last question. What are 3 intentions you want to set for 2023? My goals for the year I'm keeping close and tight to me until they manifest into my reality. But I will share some intentions for this month specifically to get me back to where I want to be after the holiday blues and end of year burnout. A lot of these things I was already practicing or in really good rhythm with, but again, the holiday blues and the end of year burnout definitely have kicked me in the ass. So number 1, I want to wake up between 5 and 6 a.m. again. 2, I want to have my first smoke of the day at 5 p.m. And 3, I want to stop scrolling. I just want to post and go. Something I saw on one of my favorite podcasters' Instagram story that was actually originally taken from Jen Atkin Hair's page was this 2023 intentions Instagram story, fill in the blanks, yada yada, right? So the first thing is I want to quit. I want to quit nicotine. Although I don't have my own vape, I sure take advantage of others when they are around me. I want to learn. I want to learn how to sew and maybe even crochet. I want to try. I want to try new activities and cuisines often. Right before the new year, I tried axe throwing for the first time and thoroughly enjoyed it. I want to have a stable living environment. I want to start projects strictly for and hosted by RH Collective. I want to continue getting the back end of my business into a well-oiled machine. I'm going to stop my negative self-talk as much as I can. I want to be me. The same person who continues to be at least 1% better than I was yesterday. These are my 2023 intentions. This is me recapping the year. I think it has been one of the best years of my life thus far. And if that is the case, y'all, 2023, is going to be life-changing, to say the least. Because 2022 was life-changing, I think 2023 is going to be elevating. And I'm going to just leave it there. I hope you guys have a happy new year. I hope this first month of the year gives you everything you want and more. And if it doesn't, go out and get it. I love you all so much. I'll talk to you later. Whoa, wait. Usually when I do a solo podcast, I kind of go over what has been going on the podcast as of recently and what to expect in the future. So before I go, I got mushy and gushy right there for a second. But before I go, let's take a moment to kind of look back at what has been happening on the page and the episodes that you can expect to come. So the last time I did a solo episode, I did a grocery haul. I gave y'all my matcha oats recipe and what I've been eating for breakfast. This was episode 7 of the Mahal Kita series, and it was inspired by my vlogging days and film a solo episode while unloading my groceries. Believe it or not, eating and my nutrition is a self-love practice I tend to slack on. Self-love was something that we talked about heavily in episode 6 with Shania the Creator. After that, we go into episode 24, speaking to a psychologist about my abusive relationship. After that, we had episode 25, the play of the perfectionist and the defeatist. I had one of my best friends, Jasmine, and her friend Sabrina on to talk about all things to do with navigating dating, not wavering from our non-negotiables, and so much more. Then we roll into the process series. And the process series is the one in which we are in right now, which I think is a perfect time, and it all aligns to talking about this past year, you know? So I'm glad I got to sit down and do a solo episode to kind of go through my process. I said to myself, how do we dive back into the business realm without being just like the Be About Your Business series from season 3? I decided to focus on not only the guest's business as a whole, but more so into the process that got them to where they are today. By definition, a process is actions or steps taken in order to achieve a particular end. For many of these businesses, if not all, I see the potential for ever evolving growth. So the blueprint is even more intriguing. So I present to you the 5th season of the Call Me Crazy podcast, The Process. The first guest on the Process series was my good friend Paige, episode 26, The Best Sandwiches in Norwalk, Connecticut. Following that, we had episode 27, Clothes Are Meant to Be Worn, Not Neglected, with my friends Liam and Avery. I love them so much, and they are the talented minds behind Negligee New York City. Episode 28 is the one that you're listening to right now. It's with Ren Dog. Hello. Moving forward, I think we're going with Monday upload days for the rest of the year. I took a little poll on my Instagram. More people were leaning towards Monday. And honestly, for me personally, I love when my favorite podcast comes out in the beginning of the week, because that means I can use it as motivation on a Monday, or I can listen into it on a Friday, but it's always there in the beginning of the week. So because the poll swayed Monday, and I've always felt like Monday was best for me in terms of when I'm consuming other people's podcasts, I was like, all right, 2023, it's Monday. So this podcast is going up tomorrow, January 6th. It's our last Friday upload of the year. And from now on, we'll be going with Mondays. So episode 29 after this one, How to Do Your Makeup Like a Pro with Jasmine Rose, is going up on Monday the 9th. After that, episode 30, What It's Like to Be at a Cryptocurrency Event, is going up on the 16th with Shania, Danya, and Joey. And then everything else is going to be a surprise. Not because I don't know what's happening, but because what's happening has yet to be recorded, edited, and scheduled. So y'all will have to wait on that. Now, this is my real exit. This is my real goodbye. I love y'all. Stay safe.